All right, man, let's check this out. So, Trump had put a Truth Social post that he was going to give 48 hours from the time of that post for Iran to open the Strait of Hormuz. And Professor Xiang has something to say about it. Let's check this out.
Last night, there was a major escalation in this war. So the Israelis have bombed the Iranian oil fields. And in response, the Iranians now are attacking the energy infrastructure of the GCC. This is a major escalation. And again, as I pointed out last class, the entire strategy of Iran is to destroy the global economy, okay? And this is how it will do so. It also attacked Tel Aviv. So Tel Aviv is getting pummeled. We don't have footage because it's being censored right now. And you would think that the Israelis would want this war to end as soon as possible because Tel Aviv and other cities are getting destroyed in this war. And again, there's really no way for the Israelis to defend themselves against Iranian ballistic missiles. But unfortunately, there are many Israelis who are very happy about all this destruction. All right? And so this is one of the more influential rabbis in Jerusalem. He's talking in Hebrew, but what he's saying is that this war of destruction, it will bring about the return of the coming of the Messiah. And it will happen on Thursday, which is today. Okay? So they are not at all saddened by what is happening.
That's crazy, bro. They're gonna be in for a rude awakening. A lot of them, when Jesus Christ returns. Even people who didn't believe, people who were on the fence, people who were lukewarm. It's gonna be a real rude awakening. A lot of people have the misconception that when he returns, that it's gonna be lovey-dovey and hugs and stuff. You read Revelation, right? It says quite the opposite. It's gonna be so scary, in fact, that it says of how much fear people will have, that their hearts will fail them just out of fear. So, they're pushing it, And I had always said, like, are these things happening, or will it ever happen because it's supposed to happen, because it was prophesied that was supposed to happen, or is it happening because some people read that was going to happen and now they're pushing it, right? They're the ones who are, well, it says here that this is supposed to happen, so they're taking it in their own hands, So the latter of that bit is what is actually happening, and it's crazy that that's the case.
In fact, they are quite animated. They're very excited about what's happening. So again, you cannot look at this war from a geopolitical lens. You have to look at it from an eschatological perspective.
That's what they want.
Right? So let us look at
eschatology.
Where we are.
That's the study of the end times.
In the war so far. And as you can see, it is a regional war, and both sides are seeking maximalist objectives. And what this means is the United States and Israel wants to destroy Israel, especially its capacity to be a nation state. And so right now, the Americans and Israelis are attacking their leadership, decapitating their leadership, as well as targeting their economy. And later on, as this war progresses and escalates, they will start to target civilian critical infrastructure, including water. Okay? And it's already happening. They also want to have a divide and rule strategy where they want to provoke ethnic conflict in Iran and divide Iran up into ethnic enclaves. And this is what we call balkanization. The Iranians, on the other hand, want to destroy the entire global economy. And you do that by attacking the energy infrastructure of the GCC. Because again, the entire basis of the global economy is cheap energy. Okay? As this war progresses, you will notice certain things. Right? So eventually, the Americans.
This is the stupid ass Strait of Hormuz, right? This thing. Right, where Trump said, like, they have to open up the Strait of Hormuz in the next 48 hours, or else, right? They were gonna bomb their energy infrastructure, Iran's. But just go around it, right? We don't got to go through there. Just go around the damn thing. right? That's all you gotta do. Build a train, you know, go around it through the north or south. Or if you don't want to go cross through here at all, you know, just go this way, right? Go west, all the way around Panama Canal, right? Just go around the damn thing. What is this? This is ridiculous, man. Let them keep their stupid little ass straight. You know, just go around the damn thing. No, no, no. This is insane, man. This is insane.
We have no choice but to launch a ground invasion. And one possible attack vector is...
I actually heard that some of the countries on, you know, to the east of this all of this crap here, and by crap I mean, you know, what's happening. There's a situation. Not that these countries are crap. I mean, the situation is crap. That's what I'm trying to say. But I heard that some countries and to the east of this situation have reduced. Have a reduction in work hours, because you know, workers are not able to get to work because of gas shortages, or gas, you know, because the shortages is also supply and demand issue. Is going up incredibly high, and some of those other. This is something that I heard in passing. They were encouraging people to walk now, use bicycles. You know, not rely on, you know, transportation to get to. So, you know, it puts a strain on everybody, bro. You know, there's people who are undergoing dialysis. There's people who have to go to hospitals. There's the law enforcement has to do a job, right? So it just affects everybody, man. You know, bringing in food, also, right? It costs diesel to get, you know, to bring food, right? Not a lot of these countries like ours use, you know, trains and stuff. The 18-wheelers are a thing, you know, around the world. Right, so because it's gonna cost more to transport the goods themselves are gonna go up, right? So you just see that. And there's a verse that comes to mind. It says that a loaf of bread will be worth a full day's wages, right? So it's getting there. And again, is this something that is happening because it was supposed to happen, or is this happening because people wanted this to happen? You know, they read about these things and it said we need to bring about these end times, right? And unfortunately, it's this last bits that I'm saying is what is true. You know, that rabbi who's saying, you know, these are good things. This is insane, bro. This is insane. And so, if it was me, and I was like, you know, the ruler of my own country, right? I'd be like, you know what? We're not gonna partake in any of that crap. You know, we don't want anything to do with this. Y'all just stay on your side of the fence, right? I'm gonna protect my people, right? We're gonna have our water, we're gonna have our food, we're gonna make everything here. You know, we don't gotta worry about any of this other stuff. We don't have to worry about oil, right? I would have made it so that, you know, with a train network, right, transport, stuff like this, right? If we need to import anything, right, you know, have a deal with, you know, those countries where we're importing stuff. What I want to say is that this whole thing is causing a big strain, you know, worse than we can imagine. And it's only going to go downhill from here.
Here, which is Karg Island. This is where Iran stores about 9% of its oil for export. And so the idea is that if you take Karg Island, you will destroy the Iranian economy and thus its capacity to sustain this war. The problem with Karg Island is that it's easy to take, but it's hard to defend because of the coastline, right? In which case, you have to also take the coastline. But then you deal with the Zagros Mountains, and so you have to expand outwards. Okay, this is what we call mission creep, where you cannot justify the war. So what you do is you put in some soldiers, and then the mission creep becomes just justification for the war. Okay, that's one thing to spot as you read the news. Karg Island will be a flashpoint.
All of this because supposedly they had arms, right? They had like nuclear capabilities. When we were told last year, you know, sometime around July, that they had destroyed all of the infrastructure for nuclear capabilities in Fordow, right? But they lied, right? And then they said that there was going to be no Jeffrey Epstein thing. They lied, right? The list eventually came out and it was supposed to be not redacted. They redacted it. They lied, right? So it's a government of the people, by the people, for the people, right? But unfortunately, it's like they're not going to do for the people. It's not of the people. It's of the elite, of this, whoever this is, this shadow government, whoever's in charge, pushing these things, right? And the rest of us here, we're just taking it like a champ, man. Right? Because as long as we have our phones and we can order DoorDash and we're comfortable, right? As long as it's not affecting us, right? Let them do whatever they gotta do, right? As long as it doesn't affect my fun time, my fun day, right? What I get to do, right? And something's gonna give, something eventually will give. It's just a matter of time.
Another flashpoint will be Saudi Arabia, because right now the Iranians are attacking Saudi Arabia. Now, what Saudi Arabia can do is declare war on Iran. And this is important because Saudi Arabia has a mutual defense pact with Pakistan, so that if any are attacked, the other is obligated to come to each other's defense, okay? This is important because, as you can see, Pakistan opens up the Eastern Front, okay? So it's possible the Americans can attack from the east. The other thing that's important is that Pakistan has nuclear weapons. And it is possible nuclear weapons are used. I strongly believe tactical nuclear weapons will not be used, okay? But once Pakistan is in the war, nuclear warheads are now at play, okay?
Honestly, I want to say that if Iran did have, these guys have nuclear capabilities. If these guys had that too, they wouldn't have messed with them at all. So,
another thing to...
Would they have used it is another thing, right? But we were fed the same narration about Iraq in the 2000s. It's the same narration just playing again over here on this other side. And we're being fed just, a bunch of stories from multiple sources. There's a lot of AI in there, and it's hard to discern, what is the truth, bro? What is the truth of the matter,
To watch is how this war expands.
Also, the other thing is Ukraine is apparently jumping in to help also. I'm thinking a war with Russia, bro. How can you... What is this? That's the one thing I heard. I don't know who said it, but that Ukraine was going to be helping also in regards to these matters, with the stuff going on here. You all are supposedly supposed to be in a war with Russia, So make it make sense, man.
Elsewhere, okay? Because when the time is appropriate, what will happen is that the Iranians will activate their proxies, the Houthis, and they will close off another critical choke point. Okay, so now what's going to happen is that there'll be two critical maritime choke points that are closed off, thus isolating the GCC and thus cutting off the world's access to cheap energy. And when they do that, we can expect global retaliation and other forces will have to come in to secure cheap energy. Okay, it is possible the South Koreans, the Japanese are forced into this war because they are so dependent on GCC energy. All right? All right.
Just don't depend on the damn thing, right? Just don't depend on this crap. And this dependability on oil, right? And watch the dollar crumble, right? That's one thing we could do here in the States, right? Instead of driving, right? Just walk to work. Walk to the store. Oh, but it's far away. Just walk. People would be so much healthier, right? Activity. People would be more social for sure, right? Because you have to walk to get to places now. Your health would become better. There wouldn't be this dependability on this garbage. The dollar, since it's backed up by it, would come down. They'd have to go back to gold. The gold standard, right? Which would make it better as opposed to this crap. But no, right? No.
So these are things that we will look for in the next few weeks. Something else that is creating attention online is people are speculating that Benjamin Netanyahu is dead. And the reason why is that he's not been seen in a public setting for many days. There have been cabinet meetings, and Netanyahu usually chairs them, and he's not there, okay? The other thing is that there are fake AI videos of him giving speeches, and it's pretty blatant these are fake. So people are speculating that he is dead, and they're trying to cover it up. This is a picture of him visiting a cafe in Jerusalem to prove he's not dead. The problem is that this cafe is in a mountain, and it will take him about like 50 minutes to drive there. So why does he go there? Why doesn't he just have a cabinet meeting or get on the phone with Donald Trump to prove he's still alive? All right? So, but I personally don't believe he is dead. He could be hiding somewhere,
He's not.
or he could be injured. What we do know is that the Iranians are killing a lot of senior Israeli officials, including the head of Mossad, the spy agency. And Netanyahu's residence was also targeted in Tel Aviv. So that's a really interesting question. How are the Iranians able to target so many of the top leadership of the Israelis, okay? But not only that, but this is...
For all we know, it's both sides are playing the same game, man. It's like, hey, you know, we're going to give you these coordinates or whatever, right? It doesn't matter because we want to bring about the end of the world, right? Like, you all are also waiting for Messiah, right? So let's just create this thing, and we'll just attack each other here, right? And we'll let the media run with stories, right? We'll give them something too so they can profit off of these stories, right? And everybody else, right? Also. But in reality, what we want to do is we want to bring about Messiah. That's the whole thing, right? You can't believe everything, man. You can't believe everything that we're being told here, you know. And they also are waiting for, I think they call it the Mahdi, is what they call it.
Ali Larijani, and he is the de facto head of the Iran war effort. And he was assassinated yesterday or 2 days ago. And the Iranians have confirmed this, okay? He is confirmed to be dead. And people, analysts, are extremely worried about this because he is a very pragmatic person. And so you can negotiate with him, right? So once this war reaches a certain point where both sides are exhausted, then it is possible to approach him and say, you know what, let's just negotiate a ceasefire. And he'd be willing to because he's very experienced. He's also very influential, so he's able to bring together the different factions of the Iranian government and negotiate a ceasefire. With him dead, it is now almost impossible to foresee a ceasefire. So let's discuss why you really don't want to do this sort of stuff. You don't really want to kill other nations' leaders, okay? And so let's just use an analogy. Let's imagine in the streets there are two gangs at war with each other, okay? Gang A and Gang B. Okay, Gang A. And if you look at gangs, they are structured as hierarchies, okay? But there's a lot of autonomy among the different sections, okay? And what holds the gangs together, of course, is the leader. So when these two gangs go to war, what they try to avoid is killing each other's leader. Why? Because a war is often used to achieve certain political objectives, right? And so the point isn't to kill everyone. The point is to negotiate a treaty that is most beneficial to you. And you do that by negotiating with each other's leaders, okay? Because they have the authority to implement the treaty. That's the first reason. The second reason is if you kill the leader, then more people, there'll be a competition to replace the leader, right? And during a gang war, the person who is most violent, the most extreme, will often become the new leader, okay? So by killing this leader, not only do you cause conflict among the gang, but you also cause a massive escalation in the conflict between these two gangs, and there's really no way out. That is why historically you do not target other nations' leaders, because then there's no off-ramp. So by targeting Larijani, the Israelis and the Americans have ensured that there will be no off-ramp now. This war we fought to the bitter end. And unfortunately,
I have a feeling that what is gonna happen, bro, is like there's gonna be some kind of solar activity that is gonna wipe everything that's technological, right? All technology. And at that point, since we're very dependent on that, and they are not, and they've been used to that kind of way of life for the most part, they're gonna have the advantage. That's just my theory. It has to be something solar to wipe out what is relying on, right? Technology. There's a massive relying on technology. Something with the sun is gonna pop off. We're gonna lose access to that, and go back to, like, basically, just basic warfare, right? There won't be somebody with a joystick 2,000 miles away controlling a drone, right, and taking out targets. Now you actually have to be on the field, and they've always had that. So that's not to diminish America's might. I'm just saying it's to diminish the use or the relying on a lot of technology, right? And what happens when you take out communications and stuff like that? I'm pretty sure they have, means to communicate and stuff, man. That's not what I'm trying to say, but it's like, it's easy now. It's super easy now. So when you start removing that, right, and it's like, what do we do? And the panic and stuff. So that's just what I think is gonna happen.
As we discussed previously, that is the objective.
He himself has said, this professor, that Iran is poised to win this war. So we'll see what happens, right? I don't want there to be any war, bro. As far as I know, America hasn't declared war. That has to go through Congress. That has not happened, right? This is just like some little tantrums that are being played here, right? It's as I'm recording this video, Congress has yet to say that we're going to war, right? That's what I want to say. So hopefully it doesn't. Hopefully it does not come to that.
Here, the Israelis and Americans are interested in maximalist aims to destroy Iran permanently, and the Iranians are also maximalists in that they want to destroy the global economy permanently in order to restructure reality itself. All right. Okay.
So very interesting take, bro. Let me know what you all think. Let me know in the comments if you agree with the professor, or if you have any other interesting insights. I'd be curious to see what you have to say in the comments. If you haven't already, make sure you like the video, subscribe, follow, all that good stuff. And I will see you all in the next one, man. Peace.